Hey folks, since in the previous sessions we have touched upon various metrics of string matching. So let's go ahead and try to do something known as feature engineering, or often known as featureization. So first and foremost, let's try to understand what exactly feature engineering stands for. So imagine I have a feature, let's say as date, and let's say I have some date as let's say 11th August, let's say 2021, or let's say 2022, whatever else it is. So if I'm able to, and let's say I have to extract what is a day, what is a month, similarly what is a year, or what is a weekday, whatever else. So these are typically all the derived features. These are typically all the derived features that you can think of deriving itself from this date feature. This is often known as featureization or feature engineering. We are just going to consider some feature and we are just going to examine, or we are just going to derive all the set of feature itself from this particular feature, which is often known as featureization. So let's try to perform this advanced featureization on top of the Cora data set that we have. Again, we have a data set that we have exported in the previous session, which is all about string_fe.csv. This data basically holds our initial data, which is given to us. You can say initial data, along with some basic featureization, you can say basic FE. In addition to that, we have also performed some string matching operations on top of that. This is what we have done typically till now in all of our previous sessions, along with some exploratory data analysis. So let's go ahead and try to perform the advanced feature extraction from the data. So first and foremost, let's try to rename the notebook that we have. So I will say 5 ... let's say Cora _ advanced _ FE. Cool. Let me rename it. Let's try to import all the necessary module, which is all about pandas. That is extremely useful in case of data manipulation. You can think of your NumPy as well if there is a need of numerical programming. Similarly, for visualization, you can think of using something known as Seaborn. Along with that, you can also think of something known as matplotlib. So I will say import matplotlib.pythonplot or pyplot as plt. You can also think of your warnings module in case you will end up getting any warning. So I will say from this warnings module, you can just press tab. Cool. And from this warnings module, I can think of importing something known as filter warnings. Then I will say just initialize this filter warnings. Just initialize it, and I will say if there is a warning, just ignore it. Just ignore it. The moment I will execute all these lines of code. Now here, unfortunately, you will end up getting an error as invalid action, which is all about ignore. Again, my bad. As Python is extremely case sensitive, you have to take care of all the case issues. I will say ignore. The moment I will execute, cool. Now first and foremost, let's try to read the data set that we have. So I will say pd.read_csv. This is the file path, and file name is all about string_fe.csv. Cool. Let me append R so that it is able to read the file very efficiently. Let me store that all the stuff, let's say data. Let me execute. And if I'm going to say data of head of, let's say 2, let me execute. Now you will see you have 22 features along with the string matching features, along with the basic featureization that you have performed till now. Look at that, you have all the features. Now, in this session, our fun challenge is all about, let's try to create some more feature. The first feature is all about first word. Again, the second feature is all about last word. The third feature is all about what is the length difference. Again, before explaining all the features, first let's consider an example. So we will say if, let's say diff of, let me say it is all about question 1. You can just press tab over here. Again, it is data, not diff. So we will say it is data. The moment I will press tab, this is question 1, and let's say let me say it is 0. Let me execute this line of code. Similar stuff goes with respect to question 2. Let me execute it. Cool. Now these are the two strings that you have. Now let's try to touch upon the first feature, which is all about first word, the second feature, which is all about last word, and the third feature is all about nothing but our length difference. These are the three features that we have to create. So let's try to touch upon it. So last word is all about, again, last word in this question 1 is India, in this question 2 is market. So if the last word of question 1 of an index, let's say 0, similarly of an index of question 2 are same, in such case I can think of appending 1 else 0. Similar stuff with respect to my first word. Again, this is with respect to last word. So we will say it is all about nothing but 1 by 0. 1 if both the words are similar, 0 if they are not similar. Similarly with respect to first word. Look at this. In this we have what and what. It means they are similar. In such case I can think of appending 1. If they are not similar, I can think of appending 0. That's what it says. Now let's try to touch upon our length difference. Again, in such case, our first word, the value of first word will be 1, and the value of last word will be 0. Now let's try to touch upon what exactly is the length difference. Let's try to touch upon it. So imagine this one has, let's say 10 words, and let's say this one has 12 words. In such case, our length difference value will be 2. But imagine at some index, imagine let's say I have 20, and let's say I have 22. So in such case, we will end up getting a length difference as -2. So just to get rid of this minus, I can think of calling a absolute on top of this. So I will say, hey, can I call a absolute on each and every value? Again, just to do this, let's try to code up all the stuffs. Again, this is a simple pseudocode what I have explained you. Again, if you are able to understand the pseudocode, writing a Python executable code is just a cakewalk for you. Now, first and foremost, let's try to figure out how to access the last word. So what I will do is, as this is of string nature, let me cross check that. So I will say, if I will say type of this, let me execute. You will see it belongs to a string data structure. Let me convert this into something known as list. So just to convert this into list, you can think of calling something known as split. You will say, hey, can I split this string? Considering our space as a separator? So we will say, considering our space as a separator, can I split this? So we have to mention space as a separator. The moment I will execute, now you will see you will end up getting all the stuff in the form of list data structure. So just to access this India, as this is the last element of the list, you can think of accessing it as using negative indexing, which is all about -1. The moment I will execute, you will end up getting a value as India. The similar stuff you have to do with respect to your question 2. I will say it is all about question 2. Now you will see it is all about market. Now let's try to compare all the values. So what I will do is I will say, hey, can I compare this one to this one? Let's try to do that. I will say it is all about, let's try to compare this. The moment I will execute this line of code, you will end up getting a value as false because both are not same. Hence, you will end up getting a value as false. Similarly, just to access the data or just to access the first word, what you can do is, let me show you that. The moment I will execute, this is all the list that we have. Again, as in the list, our by default index starts from 0. Hence, we can think of passing index as 0. The moment I will execute, you will end up getting a value as what? Similar stuff. I will say this time it is all about question 2. Let me execute. You will see you have a similar stuff. And the moment I say, hey, is this equals to this one? Hey, is this is true? The moment I will execute this line of code, you will end up getting a Boolean value as true. It means this statement is true. Again, we have to perform all these operations on top of each and every row. Hence, why not just define some function? So let's try to define function for all the 3 features so that we are able to apply this function on top of our question 1 and question 2. Let's try to code up all the stuff, of course, using Python. Let's try to do it. So what I will do is, hey, can I define a function? So I will say return, that's the function name is return underscore last underscore word. Whatever row I will pass to it. First, I will put a condition if row of question one dot split of, considering space as separator, we have to split it. Just access the element using negative indexing, which is all about -1, equals to this one. I will say equals to this one, but this time I have to mention question 2. Cool. If this condition is true, in such case, just return 1. But what if this is not true? In such case, just return 0. That's it. The moment I will execute this line of code, similar stuff I have to do for our another function, which is all about return underscore, let's say first underscore word. This time index will be changed, which is all about 0. Similarly, which is all about 0, nothing else. Now let's try to apply this function, which is all about return underscore last underscore word. So I will say df.apply. Now what we have to apply is function. I have to mention x is equals to 1 because I have to apply this function on top of each and every observations. The moment I will execute, you will end up getting an error as df is not defined. Cool, because our data frame is all about data. What I will do is I will say, hey, can I create a copy of the data frame? Let's say df is all about data.copy, so that whatever manipulation I will do on top of data. Let me execute it and let me again execute. Now let's try to store it. So what I will do is let's try to define a new feature. Let's say last underscore word. I will say last underscore word. Cool. And what I will do is let me just execute this line of code again, and let me just copy all this stuff. Let me paste it. This time let's try to customize the function. First and foremost, I will say it is all about first underscore word, and of course it is also about first underscore word. Cool. Let me execute this line of code, and the moment I will say df.columns, let me execute it. Now you will see you will end up getting 2 more features, which is all about last word and first word, of course. And if I will say df.head, let me pass value, let's say 3. Let me scroll it to right. Now you will see you have values, certain values over here, last word and first word. So that's all about this session. In the upcoming session, first and foremost, we will try to define one more function just to compute the length, or you can say just to compute the length difference between the 2 strings that we have. That is typically the upcoming task. Along with that, we have some more tasks. Again, for those of you who have any doubt, feel free to ask with us in the Q&A of the course. That's all about it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Keep learning, keep growing, keep practicing.